to the task. Over the next 15 days, Francois managed to get all of his French ducks in a row. Drapes were draped, silverware sparkled, chandeliers shimmered, and guests were gobsmacked. All 6,000 of them. Yeah, over double the anticipated party size showed up. Luckily, there was still plenty of food to spare. But another kick in the dick for Francois was the fact that it was raining, canceling the planned fireworks for the evening, which bummed out several of the guests. Well, that's just uncontrollable circumstances, you might say, as you pull out your brown tooth. But not to Francois. Remember, he was a perfectionist, and things were not perfect. Besides these two minor infractions, the first day went off without a hitch, but the second day would prove to be Francois' last. In the morning, Vital received devastating news. Only half of his fish order for the breakfast buffet had arrived. He knew that without the precious poisson, people would be palpably peckish. This was the last straw. Francois spiraled into a panic, knowing that he had failed in his duties and he would forever feel the crushing weight of his shame for the rest of his life. But the rest of his life wouldn't actually be that long, as shortly after receiving the news and breaking down into an inconsolable mess, Francois rushed into his bedchambers to right his wrong the only way he knew how. Standing by his bedside, he brandished his iconic ceremonial stabbing sword and rammed it through his own tummy. He laid in a puddle of his own blood, undiscovered for some time until, "Yo, Francois, the rest of the fish is Yeah, that's right. The remainder of the order arrived almost immediately after Francois decided to carry out a permanent solution to a temporary problem. His body was then taken from the palace and buried in secret while the was on.
Am I muted again? No.
Aspect of Isadora Duncan's life word. Tragic. Childhood? Tragic. Adult life? Tragic. Family? Tragic. Career? Successful and groundbreaking. But then tragic. All of this capped off by her sudden, unlucky, and tragic death. Born and raised in the sparkling cesspit that is San Francisco, California in the 1800s, things were already not off to a great start. She was the youngest of four, with a loving mother and supportive and wealthy banker father, until his bank collapsed under mysterious and fraudulent circumstances, subsequently leading to a marital collapse under mysterious and infidelitous circumstances. He then died of years after that. It is said that his last words were somewhere in the ballpark of, so, after Papa's her parents defaulted on their marriage, the struggles really stacked up. She lived with her mother and siblings, moving to Oakland, California to begin life anew. She attended school from ages 6 to 10, but dropped out, finding the schooling system restrictive, boring, and lame. Instead, Isadora and her siblings earned their daily bread by teaching the local yokels the art of dance. Thankfully, years of doing the hokey pokey allowed Isadora to turn herself around. After all, that's what it was all about. She joined a formal theater company at the age of 19 to expand her art. Problem was, the time was very rigid and emotionless. Instead, Isadora yearned for something a little bit more free-flowing and expressive. She wanted less of this, and a little bit more of this. But the dance wasn't ready to pick up what she was throwing down, so she had to search for better opportunities abroad. Well, that was definitely a good choice because she soon found herself dancing in the presence of wealth and royalty across London.
Oh, it's a beautiful dancer, isn't it?
And Paris.
Omelette de fromage.
Her revolutionary style took the world of dance by storm. With her newfound success, she wished to provide better opportunities for the youth, opportunities that she wished that she had as a spry sapling. In order to do so, she opened up an informal dance school in Berlin, Germany in 1904, which, along with teaching kids their ABCs and Eins, Zwei, Zweis, also put interpretive dance on the menu, not as a profession, but as a hobby and method of expression. After about a decade, Isadora left to open up a second school in Paris after a certain Austria started getting hungry for conflict. Unfortunately, the new school didn't last very long as tensions escalated and the Great War broke out in Europe, so she fled back home to the US right when the getting was good. As for her personal life, her travels introduced her to many suitable bachelors across the art world. She found love multiple times and Cupid shuffled into the sheets, popping out 3 kids. But of course, fate would have other plans for this happy chapter. For instance, one of her children died in infancy. The other 2 cruised along in a car with their caretaker and crashed into the River Seine. They drowned. Understandably, Isadora spiraled into a deep, deep depression in her later years and fell out of the spotlight, her debts piling up as high as her empty liquor bottles. But this life of misfortune was about to be topped off with a disastrous bow. On September 14th, 1927 in Nice, France, he was riding shotgun in a fancy car while wearing an abnormally long fancy scarf. Normally, the combination of heavy machinery and loose articles of clothing warrant a live leak watermark, and poor Isadora was about to learn why. As the vehicle sped off and she bid her farewells, her fashionable fabric forged her fate. Her long scarf that was whipping in the wind became entangled in the rear tire of the car, wrapping around the rear axle and pulling tight. In an instant, the scarf became a noose, and Isadora's neck was snapped before she could even react. At just 50 years old, the spotlight faded on the inspirational dancer. Now trust me, for the life of me, I really want to pronounce this guy's name as Tycho Brahe, but apparently the proper Danish pronunciation is Tycho Brahe. Like, listen to this. Person saying this doesn't even sound confident in their own pronunciation. Anyway, Teeny Tiny Tycho was the talk of the town back in the 16th century. He was renowned as one of the world's greatest astronomers and one of the last great astronomers before the invention of the telescope. So these guys were just raw dogging the heavens trying to figure it all out.
Hey, is that a new star up there?
Oh, where?
Right over...
I lost it. But that, of course, didn't discourage the celestial sillybillies from trying to figure out how the known universe worked, or at least what the human eye could see. Born and heir to many of the Kingdom of Denmark's noble families, Tycho was loaded, and thus well-educated. He made several breakthroughs in the field of astronomy and even dabbled in astrology and alchemy. But we know those are more of pseudoscience poppycock. Well, unless you're a middle-aged woman who thinks that jerking a crystal with rainwater will make all of your wishes come true or whatever.
A new hand touches the beacon.
Despite his innovations of spotting new stars and measuring the skies with rather impressive accuracy, he still made the oopsie of proposing his own geocentric model, which put the Earth in the center of the universe rather than the Sun. The planets revolved around the Sun, but the Sun revolved around the Earth. He almost had it. Don't worry though, Copernicus took home the blue ribbon with his heliocentric model. The thing about newer branches of science is that there's a lot to discover as you put the fundamental pieces together, which grants you a lot of leverage over outsiders looking in who just don't understand it quite yet. That being the case, many higher nobles and even the king himself applauded Tycho in his efforts, just stuffing his pockets with money to fund any and all research that he desired to advance the field of astronomy. What's that? You've charted over 700 stars? Beautiful. There's things called supernovas? Fantastic. Comets are just burning bits of rock? Amazing! Can you leave? Danish King Frederick II was so tickled by Tycho's work that he granted him an estate on an island to build his own personal, customized observatory so that he could look up at the sky in complete solidarity. And so he did. For about 21 years, Tycho plotted the planets, tracked the transits, and crunched the calculations. Everything seemed great. At least until King Frederick bit the disease dust and his 11-year-old war-obsessed, noble-hating son took over and threatened to seize Tycho's land and assets. Not wanting to deal with this two-body problem, the astronomer said screw it and shifted his orbit over to Prague, where he was invited to build another observatory. This time, however, he took on an apprentice, one Johannes Kepler, who would go on to influence many famed physicists like Galileo and Sir Isaac Newton. Together, the two continued where Tycho left off before getting booted from his Tower of Solitude. But everything came to a halt in 1601 when attending a banquet. According to Kepler, Tycho was in agonizing discomfort. You alright? Nope, gotta piss. Real bad. Dude, just get up and go. Bad manners, gotta hold it. Alright, don't complain to me when you piss yourself. Ooh, lordy. Yo, Tycho. Tycho eventually headed home to drain his dragon, but at that point, it would barely even dribble. Over the next several days, the pain got excruciatingly worse, and there was no relief in sight. Just 11 days after holding in his pee to avoid bad etiquette at dinner, Tycho Brahe died of a completely avoidable bladder infection. Remember, fellas and fellettes, listen to what your body's telling you. Otherwise, you might just piss it off. For poor Cornelia Zangaribandi, little is really known about her life, as the only remarkable thing about the wrinkly Diovelina was her mysterious, sudden, and fiery fate. That's because Cornelia is one of the unlucky few cases of a phenomenon known as spontaneous human combustion. a cause of death in which the victim suddenly bursts into flames, seemingly unprovoked or without an obvious cause, and is reduced to nothing but a pile of ash. But when you really dig deep into the dirt of these cases, you start to recognize some patterns. For one, the victims are almost always alcoholics to some degree, and recently hoarded down a medically inadvisable amount of booze. That's the spirit, and that's the wine. Next, the victims tend to be elderly females. Not that it necessarily makes much of a difference, but Combustible Cornelia here was 66 years young when she attempted to cosplay as a phoenix. Additionally, there was always an external source of ignition, which, in my opinion, completely invalidates the whole spontaneous aspect. So what did the heck happen to Tua Cornelia? Well, on one fateful night in 1731, the Italian noblewoman had just finished off a non-stereotypical meal. Countess Cornelia was reported by her maid as acting rather, quote, dull and heavy, slumping around to and fro after downing a hefty heap of brandy. The maid helped the inebriated elder to her room, and the two spent several hours chit-chatting and shooting the shit. The Countess was also a creature of habit, habitually applying some of her own personal ointment across her withering frame, an icky-sticky camphorated brandy mix which helped with her pain relief. After some bobbitying and a bit of boopying, the maid left the Countess's room after she boarded the train to Sticky Time Junction. And so, all was well. Until the next morning. Cornelia was noted to be sleeping in a bit later than usual, but that was to be expected after how heavily she drank the night before. The maid eventually entered the Countess's chambers to find something horrifyingly perplexing. According to the eyewitness, this is what she found. 4 feet distance from the bed was a heap of ashes, 2 legs untouched from the foot to the knee with their stockings on. Between them was the lady's head, whose brains, half of the back part of the skull, and the whole chin were burnt to ashes, amongst which were found 3 fingers blackened. All the rest was ashes. A small oil lamp on the floor was covered with ashes, but no oil in it. The Countess was dead. The curious part is that no other pieces of furniture in the room seemed to be affected by the suspected blaze. Instead, everything was draped in a greasy, smelly soot. Now, it may have appeared as a mysterious death to the people of the time, but us modern folk live in an age of true crime podcasts and such, so it's pretty easy to piece together what probably happened. Nevertheless, it's a pretty tragic way to go, but probably a good reminder to never handle open flames after converting your body into a human Molotov cocktail. The Mughal Empire was one of the richest and longest ruling empires in the history of India, but it was almost lost in its infancy. Inheriting the newly founded empire in 1530 from his dad at the age of 22, Emperor Humayun bit off way more than he could chew. He was an inexperienced ruler and lacked a lot of the self-confidence and leadership qualities that you'd expect from an emperor. But he was the eldest son, so it all went to him. Gotta love primogeniture. That, my good friends and Corvettes, is the word of the day. Now, with it being a new empire and all, there was a problem with consolidating power. Lots of the local governors and leaders resisted Mughal control. To help disperse some of that responsibility, Humayun granted some land to his 3 younger half-brothers, all of whom were little shitheads, constantly undermining their older brother to the point of collapsing the whole. Not far off, another ruler took the notice of the young emperor's power struggle. This guy was Sher Shah Suri of Bahar. He saw quite the opportunity in front of him. Not wanting to waste any time, he quickly gathered his army and made a push for Agra, the capital of the Mughal Empire, and 1 sheep's onomatopoeia away from being a Disney IP. Humayun retaliated, and the two clashed on the battlefield. After a few skirmishes, the two agreed to a diplomatic end to the fighting. Sher Shah was given control over some territory in exchange for a peaceful retreat. He agreed, but since the deal did not explicitly state no takesy-backsies, the conniving little devil immediately reneged on the agreement and slaughtered the Mughal army, with Humayun barely escaping across the Ganges. The retreating emperor pleaded with his 3 brothers for support, but they were too busy negotiating with Sher Shah over what land they would receive after the Unfortunately, Humayun did lose his empire in 1540 and was exiled to Persia for 15 years. But while in Persia, he was able to use some charisma to persuade the Safavid emperor to provide some military support so he could go back and kick the Shah's shit in, which is what happened. The Mughal Empire was restored in 1555 and all was right again. That is, until about a year later in 1556, where Humayun met a rather silly demise. When leaving his library with a handful of books, the emperor had to walk down a bunch of stone steps. Since OSHA training wasn't yet mandatory or invented, Humayun was unaware of the dangerous predicament he had put himself in. After hearing the call for daily prayer, his own muscle memory took over and he knelt down
Hey,
to
what's up?
that call as he did on a regular basis.
It's going all right.
Slipped and tumbled down the entire stone stairwell, bashing his melon open on a stone door. The poor guy died 3 days later of his injuries. But at least the Mughal Empire reigned for another 300 years, so that's positive. History facts that are wrong. This is probably one of the first things I thought about in school when discussing ancient Egypt. Tens of thousands of slaves enduring endless hours of intense, forced physical labor while barely being fed or provided with adequate water. Drop a sack of sand, chisel something at the wrong angle, devout masochist, you're getting a whipping. Well, it's all poppycock. While there were slaves, they were mainly prisoners of war or household servants who tended to their landlords, but they weren't really part of the main labor force. Instead, laborers in ancient Egypt were conscripted using the corvée duty system, a way to pay off taxes through manual labor. According to the book The Pyramid Builders of Ancient Egypt, which discusses the pyramid builders of ancient Egypt, farmers were usually pulled from their laborious crop dusting for construction work whenever the Nile went all floody during the summer months, while the smug and rich upper-class folk avoided manual labor by just paying...
It was actually usually my break time from streaming, but I had nothing better to do today, so
Laborers who worked on the pyramids as well as
might as well stream.
way back in the ancient times were actually well provided for. This makes sense as having a weakened labor force due to neglect or malnourishment
Is it?
doesn't really pay great dividends. Can't exactly move giant rocks when you're completely emaciated. Small villages have been discovered built specifically for housing laborers. These sites also contain various animal bones and plentiful bread jars showing a high-quality diet. But of course, the system wasn't perfect. Thanks to some classic upper-class corruption, sometimes things didn't always go right for these laborers. But they
I just
had the
didn't
power
change
to stand their
this.
ground. Dating all the
Sorry
way back
about
to
that.
1170 BC, written evidence has been found of an artisan's strike while constructing a tomb for then pharaoh Ramesses III. The artisans complained about a lack of promised rations and outright refused to continue their work, dropping their chisels and their hammers to march right up to the ruling class's temples to make their demands. What do we want? Food! When do we want it? Food! After chit-chatting with the local vizier,
I gotta
the
check
workers
see
were able
my
to secure
stream.
their rations and continued their work. Now, don't get me wrong. The labor that these guys endured was backbreaking, extremely strenuous, and downright exhausting. But they weren't outright enslaved or mistreated, as historians previously thought. We've all heard the legends about King Tut's tomb, right? If you disturb an ancient king's burial grounds, you'll be cursed, doomed to die a horrible death. Well, it's not so. You'd probably
Alright, I
benefit from
fixed that.
inhaling millennia-old mummy powder, but that's about it. Now, there has been evidence of some ancient tombs inscribed with curse-like carvings. For example, ancient
Yeah, I
Egyptian
switched it this morning,
wrote that, quote, "Any ruler who shall do
and I
evil
paid
will
so
be
much
punished
attention to the title of
Maybe
the
that's
stream
not
that I
accepting the goods he offers,
completely
instead
forgot to
never
switch the
inherit.
game.
Similarly, an inscription on the tomb of 10th century BC ruler Khafre warns that any impure men who enter this tomb, there will be judgment. An end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird, and I shall cast the fear of myself into him. Now, in a culture that was super superstitious, anyone coming across warnings like that would be like, "Oh shit, a ghost!" prompting them to 180 right out of the room. When King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922, no such
And that was at like
warnings were ever
3 in the morning,
in
so
reality, the rumor of King Tut's curse revolves around one George Edward Stanhope Molyneux Herbert, 5th Earl of Carnarvon, a rich English white dude who funded the whole expedition that led to the discovery of the Sandy sarcophagus. He died a whole 4 months after the opening of the tomb, after which a journalist, as journalists do, printed a whole bunch of sensationalized fake news attributing Lord Carnarvon's death to an inexplicable curse. To their surprise, the media ran with it, making claims of a hidden curse being uncovered with the tomb, though this never happened. So how did Lord Carnarvon die? He done got bit by a mosquito. The resulting bump was accidentally slashed while he was shaving. A nasty cut that later got infected. The old chap died of blood poisoning at the age of 56. dedicated believers have tried to attribute other deaths to the curse, but they're really grasping for straws. Of the 58 people who were present at the opening of the tomb, only 8 had died within a dozen years of the discovery, and by various means ranging from cancer to murder to natural causes. The majority of the men went to live on full, healthy lives. At least they didn't steal any spooky slabs. Might have been a different story. When you think of Spartans, you probably think about the silvery, shiny hunks of warrior man meat as portrayed on the silver screen.
Oh, buddy.
Solid, strict, and viciously trained, bloodthirsty warriors who could decimate any opposing army. But while you're thinking about oiled-up, shirtless, muscular men, you might question if this portrayal is historically accurate. It's not. In reality, the Greek city-state of Sparta had no professional army. Although growing up with militaristic training, the purpose was not to create warriors, but perfected, hardened, and respected
I got up
citizens
this morning
who served to defend their homeland
at like
if need be.
1:30.
That element of perfection
I
is
couldn't
where
get back
some
to
rumors
sleep.
of Spartan eugenics
So I was
come in.
laying here
It is
watching
believed that ancient Spartans
YouTube
practiced
shorts,
infanticide,
and there was a bunch of cat
undesired
ones
babies as a way to strengthen
that came up.
society.
And he heard the meowing and he came over and he was all jealous because I was watching other cats on the computer.
Roman historian Plutarch. He wrote that Spartan elders would examine newborns for imperfections or weaknesses. Good, good, bad, good. What the?
Hello, Daddy.
Whoa. If any were ever found, they would just Yeetus the fetus off the Taygetus mountainside. This ensured that only the best of the best would be able to thrive to crushing adulthood. But this bit of literature is almost certainly a bunch of baloney. While historians can't confirm with 100% certainty, 99% this is just flat out never.
Oh wow, I lifted him off the ground.
Present any supporting evidence. There have been a few adult remains discovered, but no tiny toddler tibias were ever among them. And even more convincing, Plutarch's writings date 600 years after the end of civilization. So it might have just been some silly Spartan fan. Fan fiction for today about medieval Europe would just shoot their bridges to kind of see that happen, right? Despite what you may think, death was not the goal of gladiator battles in the Roman Colosseum. If it was, Rome would have run out of them real quick. Now keep in mind that the Colosseum was active for over 400 years, hosting a plethora of different events ranging from gladiator battles to public criminal executions to full-fledged naval battle reenactments with the entire Colosseum being flooded. Pretty wild, right? Well, gladiator battles were basically the equivalent of today's UFC or boxing matches, just with swords and spears instead of fists. These fights were spectacles of sport, and the gladiators were the athletes. You had some super famous gladiators, rookie gladiators, and everything in between. While some gladiators were slaves, criminals, or prisoners of war fighting for fame and fortune, or just the high-octane dopamine rush of being able to legally stab someone in the kidney and getting praised for it. Roman citizens were hyped to watch two dudes duke it out in a sweaty, sandy, sassy struggle of strength. But things were a lot more exciting than just the vanilla missionary position.
I do not. I was going to have to look into that.
Sword and shield type gladiators. Nope. Actually, there were about
I'm assuming I have to get some kind of
gladiators
software.
bang away at each other. You had your dual-wielding Demochirus, the trident-chucking Ricciarius, the silly-looking Caesar, and the alls-out, balls-out Cestus, among other DLC characters. So imagine that you're living your boring Roman life, sitting in your boring Roman house, scratching your boring Roman balls when you suddenly catch wind of the gladiator battle of the century. Two Andabate pitted against each other. You'd lose your shit. Why would you lose your shit? Because Andabate were condemned criminals fighting each other completely blind. Yeah, as a form of punishment, two criminals equipped with nothing more than a steel helmet and a rusty sword were dumped out into the arena and forced to square off. Like watching two blindfolded kids trying to whack at a piñata, except they're both potential piñatas. Now, while formal gladiator duels were not to the death, of course some still died. But it was more common to die by bleeding out after the match had been called by the referee. Oh yeah, they had referees. These were often retired gladiators tasked with making sure that the rules of battle were being followed and stopping fights before final blows were dealt. See, gladiators were expensive investments, so gladiators wanted them alive for as long as possible, once they start all over leveling up another rookie from scratch. So with all that being said, professional gladiator battles were not performed for the sake of death, just for the thrill of the fight, and the potential of death. Ancient myths are tough for modern historians to interpret, as historical writers across time have their own biases.
Yeah,
How they felt about a certain historical figure, they could cement their legacy in
I'm
history
still
as a
moving
superpower
kind of slow on the
that's not.
streaming thing
The
and
prevailing myth
YouTube
that
thing.
Roman Emperor Nero
I'm
did
still
his
working
fiddle as
through
Rome burned to the ground is one
a
that should have been
financial
smoked.
plan.
It's commonly believed that Nero, having
I
decided
mean, it's
to
coming
map his
together.
course of
I'm
his
not
reign,
in
started
trouble
the
or
Great
anything,
Fire of Rome in
but
64
I
AD,
like
a
to
disastrous
plan ahead.
inferno that
I like
destroyed
to
nearly 3/4 of the Roman capital. Accusations claim that Nero didn't really like the look of Rome.
But right now I'm
and
trying to
his own vision with a lavish and gaudy golden
I'm
throne.
trying to get
So
myself
it could be
financially set for at least 6 months
the fire
so that I
seems to
could
have started in a shopping district
dedicate
stockpiled with
strictly to doing this.
Once the fire started, it was nearly impossible to contain. Rome was a dense city. Streets were narrow, housing structures were wooden, and the wind was a-blowing. This set of conditions provided the perfect environment for the big old fire to really roar. The blaze lasted for 9 whole days, decimating 10 of Rome's 14 districts. But was Emperor Nero to blame? Not at all. According to Tacitus, one of the most influential Roman historians at the time, Nero was not Nero who started. He was actually several miles away in the course of but he wrote caught wind of the disaster. When he did get back, Nero opened up private gardens and other
I'm
structures
thinking
for shelter to those affected. Despite these efforts, Nero
in
still
about a
came under
week.
scrutiny from the nobles who hated him, claiming that he should have responded sooner and provided more assistance.
Maybe a week and a half.
Bet my scorched ass cheeks he started that fire himself.
I should.
Yeah, you're right. He probably did.
Guys,
I'll literally have nothing else to do but stream, and I'm gonna dedicate myself to it. So right
that's
now
what
I'm
we
just
said.
trying to
In
set
actual
up
fact, there is no historical
and get
evidence
it
that Nero
going.
started the fire, and especially no evidence that he played the fiddle when Rome burned. Mostly because the fiddle wouldn't be invented for another.
I mean, a lot
It's probable that
of the
Nero
trouble
was
I'm having with streaming right now
as Nero famously
is this
claimed
stress
to the
of
fire,
not having all
leading to
my
the
shit
persecution.
together.
So who really got the last laugh? It was Nero. He burned a lot of Christians. It's possible that your middle school history textbooks may have toyed with the idea
I mean,
that
I'm-
ancient Aztecs, or even the greater Mexican people as a whole, saw the invaders
I
and
literally
conquistadors as gods
up
and
until
figures.
about
More
2 days ago,
history has suggested that the
I was
Aztecs
afraid
were
that I was gonna have to quit streaming and go back to
believed
work.
that the arrival of the Spanish
But
coincided with the prophesied return of Quetzalcoatl.
everything's turning around.
Creation. But we now know that it's all, as the Spanish say,
I'm definitely gonna be a better streamer once I don't have stress anymore. Once I'm out from under all the stress.
But there's no evidence explicitly stating that
It'll
they were thought of
definitely-
as gods. Letters written by
definitely get better.
Cortez himself about his conquests never mention being mistaken for or being interpreted as a god in any way, shape, or
I don't
form.
do stress
This is
very
further
well.
supported by the writings of Spanish conquistador Bernal
Oh, I was just saying,
who chronicled Cortez'
I'm trying to set up
real time.
financially
Passage highlights
so that I
the
could do this full time.
in the Aztec capital Tenochtitlan.
Right now, I'm not working,
Yeah, people around here think I'm a god.
so I'm doing this full time,
Precious
but
stones, look,
I'm not financially sound yet.
flesh and blood, my
I'd
dude.
say in about a week and a half I will be, and my streams will improve because I won't be under so much stress because of my financial situation.
Decades after the Aztecs were conquered,
Actually, up until a couple days ago, I was almost sure I was going to have to quit streaming
tried to pass the weapons off as
and go
magic,
back to work.
horses off as intelligent, aggressive beasts.
But
So it was mainly a sensation.
everything's starting to work out.
Portraying the Mexican people as more feeble-minded, all while embellishing the Spanish image. As it turns out, the Aztec weren't bamboozled by some distrustful deity. The Spanish completely steamrolled the Aztec with the help of
It's not really sad. It's actually
every European
not sad at all.
bionic weapon, disease. It was less, oh my god, and more,
Because of the fact it's working out now.
the Great Depression was truly a
Before I was worried
not only for
it
the
wasn't.
US, but for the entire globe. Most of you out there might recall learning that the stock market crash of 1920.
I like having my ducks in a row. That's
in reality,
one of the
it was just a
things. Is
signal that shit had hit the financial fan. Nothing more than
I'm going to be stacking my bank account.
If you're unaware, the world economy is a
I should be
constant
getting
struggle
about
for supply and demand, with price being
80 grand in my bank account, which is I'm going to reinvest about half of it, and then the other half I'm going to live off of while I try to get my streaming career going. It's going to be about a week before that money is in my bank account, and I will be under constant stress until then, because that's the type of person I am. I might even stream a lot more, because when I'm streaming, I'm not thinking about it, so it kind of relieves the stress a little. But until I have my money, I'm not going to completely relax. Buddy helps out with stress.
European and Asian markets began producing their own goods, selling these products to the US for cheaper prices, which caught the eyes of consumers looking to save a few pennies here and there. The big American companies, seeing potential profits leaving their grubby hands, were pissed and lobbied Congress to protect their interests. In order to do so, the Fordney-McCumber Tariff of 1922 was passed.
It's
This
just under
raised prices across the
$70,000.
board, increasing the consumer cost of foreign goods as to thin out the competition and force Americans
It's coming
to buy
from my
American products.
401k.
Europe and Asia promptly responded in kind, and soon a
It's
tariff
money
was
I've been
announced.
saving for
All this
over
sounds
the
a bit
last
familiar, doesn't it?
15
Now, in
years.
order to keep a super long story super short, here's what happened next. Demand shrank as American companies and farms overproduced their goods. Too much stuff and no one to buy it means less sales. Less sales means less profit for these companies, and with less company profit, that means they're
It's
gonna start
not
handing out some
It's
pink
not
slips.
all my
If lots of people
retirement,
laid
but it
off,
is a
lots of
pretty
people
good
have less
chunk
money
of
to
it.
spend, so companies lose even more money. And if they lose enough of it, they go bankrupt. Now, when companies went bankrupt, at least back in the 1920s, the banks had
Yeah.
and
Well, I'm going to
vanished. Banks and little
reinvest in half of that money.
shit and rushes to withdraw
So
money from
$35,000 is I'm investing in something else.
to meet that demand.
And then the other $35,000 I'm putting into savings.
The banks lent
That's
it out
what
to
I'm going to
rich
live
people
off
places
until I
like
can get my
Jets,
streaming
the stock market.
off the ground.
Now, when there's a lot of market speculation, stock market prices get unreasonably high. Unreasonably high prices aren't very sexy, so no one else wants to buy them. Instead, they sell to take profits. But when these profits are taken, that stock price drops.
I mean,
When stock prices
I
drop,
still have
minority
about another
shareholders lose potential profits.
$80,000 in my retirement.
Sell whatever shares
But
they have.
that I'm not
When there's enough
touching
seller momentum
at least
across
for
the
another
board,
10
the
years,
entire
11
stock
years.
market crashes.
'Cause
Banks
I
have
can't
failed.
retire
Blue
until
collar workers have
65.
lost their life savings overnight. Millionaires have lost
Well,
their
that's
fortunes.
when my
Families have
Social
sold
Security
their
benefits
farms, hung up
kick
their
in.
tools. Not only did this
And then I
cripple
can
the United States,
take out
but
my
the entirety
401k.
of global trade. The United States could not
The
meet
rest of my
critical export
401k,
demands, and
but
foreign economies selling raw
it's
materials such
IRA
as
now,
sugar, rubber, and lumber lost their biggest customers because of their money
and that'll be building
economies.
over the
The
next
Great
10
Depression
years.
was without doubt one of the
So that
worst economic
$80,000,
disasters in modern
hopefully in
age.
the next
The
10
American
years,
economy
could
struggled
turn
until the
into
United States entered
between
World War II
160
in
and 200,000,
1941, where demand for
as long
products
as
and
the
labor
stock
picked
market
right
doesn't
back up.
tank.
To put it simply, the 1929 stock market crash did not cause the Great Depression. It was the writing on the wall that the system
But even
would break.
still,
Afterward, the banking system was overhauled and the
yeah,
stock market
I
heavily regulated to prevent
always
history
think
from
about your
repeating itself.
retirement. Always work towards that. I've been working towards my retirement since I was in my 20s.
Oh boy. Again. This time, Missouri and the
Well, hopefully, if this streaming thing works out, I will be.
fortune and greener pastures. You don't
But
get left behind.
even if the streaming thing doesn't, I will still have a comfortable retirement.
You're only as good as the skills you can provide. As we all know, there are all kinds of people in this world. Bankers, farmers, nothing else. A crafty carpenter. You enjoy getting hammered and occasionally nailed. You've got some solid survival stats and decent savings. Good choice. Not that it was yours anyway. Here's your complimentary
There's
two adorable little cherubs to help you on the trail. Look how cute they
in the
are.
United States, we have Social Security.
Your mission is to travel down
That
the soon-to-be-famous
you
Oregon
pay into
Trail.
that.
Over 2,000 miserable miles of dirt,
You pay into
disease,
it your
and death
whole
was
working
all
career.
established in
It's
1836
taken out of
while
your
pioneers
check,
move out west.
your
But why,
paycheck,
why would I move out west, you might ask? Because
and
you
it's
want to. But more importantly, the
invested. You can start receiving it when you're 65, or if something happens to you and you become disabled, you could start collecting your Social Security. As of now, if I started collecting Social Security, I'd get about $2,000 to $2,500 a month from my Social Security, and then from my 401k, I get another $2,000 a month. So if I could retire today, I would get $4,000 a month, and I wouldn't even be doing anything. That money's just guaranteed to me. Yeah, I think so. Once I get the hang of streaming, I think I definitely will be much better at it. Right now, I've still got a lot to learn. Go back to the trader. But I don't know what kind of retirement investments options you have in the UK. But in the United States, there's quite a bit. The strategy I've had most of my life is I budget my money that I earn, and then any savings I have, I split in half. Half of it I just save, and the other half I invest. And I usually do long-term, low-risk investments. I'm not big on gambling. I'd rather wait 5 years for a guaranteed 5% than risk losing all my money just for a quick 10 to 15%. Definitely like low risk investments. I wish I made enough money. I wish I made enough money where I could just pay somebody, like a stockbroker, to invest my money for me. But I can't afford that. Maybe if I become a big streamer, maybe, but right now I can't afford that. I have to stick with the low risk investments.
Good morning. I'd shake your hand, but I bet you got dysentery, the way you smell.
Yeah, I know. It's my nature to stress. I try not to, but it's just, yeah, you can't.
I'm gonna make you an offer. Well, don't just stand there with your thumb up your ass. Go do the goddamn job.
I know everything always does work out. I just can't help stressing. I can't help worrying about shit. Can I start with the... No, I can't. God damn it. Oh, I need a lot, too. Yes, I did. I did it, I kind of did it in the wrong order, but I should have secured the money before I quit, but oh well, hindsight's always 20/20. But yeah. I kind of decided that if I was going to do it, I should dive in head first. So that's what I did. I try to do at least 4 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the evening. And then in between, I look at my analytics. I look at what's trending. I usually watch a video or two that try to help improve with what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit because I'm not computer literate. I mean, when I was in high school, there wasn't even computer classes. I mean, I took typing, and I actually typed on a typewriter. I mean, it was an electric typewriter, but yeah, I think it was like 2 years after I left high school, they started with word processing and like computer skills. But yeah, so yeah, I'm basically, it's my job now, and I have to train myself. So between actually doing the job, when I'm not doing the job, I'm researching the job or eating or sleeping. But I'm going to try to start with some reaction content coming up soon. I just don't know what to react to. I don't want to be a political channel. I think YouTube and Twitch are saturated with political channels. So I don't want to do that. So I think I'm probably there are these timeline videos that I've been watching that I was thinking about reacting to. And I was thinking about doing like a movie night where I watch old movies from the 50s. Or old TV shows even. Yeah, the timeline one, my niece kind of gave me that idea. Because my niece, I talk to her all the time, and she's always fascinated with, like, just the idea that I grew up without the internet. Because, like, she's never knew a world without the internet. So it's like, we talk about stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, life does, yeah, you can't always plan, but I do my best to try to. No, I'll get you your money. Trust me, I'll get you your money. It might be a week, but I'll get you your money. I owe you that money. I pay my debts, man. I will pay you. Don't you worry about it. I will pay you. It's just a matter of time. The money is coming. It's guaranteed to be here. It's the only reason I'm stressing is because it's not here yet. It's kind of like you invite your friend to come over, and then they said, okay, yeah, I'll be over in like 10 minutes. And then 11 minutes goes by, and you're like, where are they? And you start to worry, and you start to, maybe they're not coming. You know what I mean? That's basically what it is. I know the money is coming. I know it's going to be here. I'm just impatient. That's basically what it comes down to is I'm impatient. I understand it's a character flaw. I deal with it. I'm all right. I'm not. It's not stressing me out to the point where it's giving me health issues. It's just weighing on my mind. Once I check my bank account and that money's there, it's a load off my shoulders. It's one less thing I have to think about. And everybody was always like that. Oh, don't stress about it. I know. I know I shouldn't worry about it, but I'm going to worry about it anyway. It's just the way I am. Which is kind of weird because my dad was the opposite. My dad didn't worry about anything. It was like he already knew how everything was going to turn out. Yeah, I'm not going out there. I gotta go out there. That jerk. And I don't have a bandage. Oh. Come on. Man. A bandage or a first aid kit. That did not. What's this? Ammunition. I did not have a good time on this quest. I'm gonna pay you and stop arguing with me. I just have to clear the area? Is that it? Yeah, I guess so. Whoa! Come on out. I know you're in there. Alrighty. Yeah, I could probably add it in through my OBS. I probably just have to add download not a plugin, an add-on. Yeah, OBS. I think yeah, it took me a little while to figure out OBS, but once I actually figure out how to use it, it's very simple and it's a godsend. I wouldn't be able to do this without it. So yeah, if you ever think about getting into streaming, OBS Studios is the program you want. It's free and yeah, it's a great program. That and most streamers use it, so there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to use it. There's like crash courses, there's in-depth courses, there's videos on the things you yeah, it's a great program. I also got the I forgot what it's called now. StreamerBot. That's a good program too. That's the one that I got the meow through. When you type in the cat's name, that's the program that does that. Is the StreamerBot. I'm learning how to use that. There's other things I could add too. I was gonna watch a video on how to add pop-up GIFs in my stream with keywords. I kind of feel like that if I could make my stream a little more interactive, I think that'll attract more people too. Like just the little cat meow thing, that was just like kind of a little test. But I'm gonna add more of those. I want to do like pop-up GIFs, emotes. Oh, I'm sorry, did I scare you? How you doing, buddy? Oh, you got a little eye booger? I got it. I got it. There you go.
More. Now that you did the job, I guess you ain't that damn bad after all. My shop, my rules. You follow, or you fuck off.
Anything else I could sell? I don't want that.
Well, don't let the door... Well, looky here, boys. We got ourselves a real-life hero. And now, he wants to be paid.
Oh. Damn it, I'm getting the helmet mod. Finally, tier 2, huh?
You better take this job. What are you standing there for? Don't you have work to do?
Alright. Oh, I got all those. Got a cooking pot with me. Oh, and I need I need to go to the bathroom before I go on this endeavor. I need one of these. All right, I'm gonna run to the bathroom right quick. I'll be right back. Let me put up my BRB right here because I think I'm gonna get something to drink too. Alright, we're ready to do this now. Right? Oh, wait. Alright, I got everything I think I will need. Let me look. I'm gonna follow the road. Follow the yellow brick road. Hey there, little one. You're getting scratching post crumbs all over you. I just wandered off the road. Are you happy now? I got you water. You're able to eat. You gonna smell my food? I don't think so. I should be able to make a better club by now. I can. Look at that. Big old fancy club. Scrap. I'm gonna modify this bad dog. It's gonna be blue, barbed wire. Oh, I know it's mine. Mine's the blue one that's covered in barbed wire. All right. All right, now we're working on something here. I almost flipped them. We don't have to make eye contact for me to pet you. Get over it. Besides, that's weird. Hold on. Ah. Oh, that was the wrong one. All right, I'm downloading it. I need to shut that off for a sec. Dang it. All right, I downloaded. I'm going to let me finish streaming for a little bit, and then I'm going to download it and get it working. Well, I got it downloaded. I just got to set it up and get it working. I got to figure it out. It'll probably take me like an hour or so, but later on tonight I will be test running it. No, I'll be test running it later on tonight. I'm excited about it. I'm very excited about it. Yeah, what time is it? Oh, it's almost 4 o'clock. Yeah, give me about a half hour. I'm gonna log off and then I'm gonna try to start setting it up. At least let me get to the trader. Right, this may be a little easier than I thought it was gonna be. Wow. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. As soon as I get up to this, as soon as I get to this trader, I'm logging out and I'm gonna try setting this thing up. I'm gonna figure it out. What is that? A bush? What is that? Okay. I'll figure it out. It'll probably take me a little bit, but I'll figure it out. Actually, most of the stuff, I usually find a video or a website that'll tell me like immediately exactly how to do it. It's just wording the search in order to find what I'm looking for. That's what I'm bad at. Alright, let me get in the building.
Sure is a wonder. Here's your pay for a job well done. Jet, Stimpaks, and now Rad-X? No, you got the wrong store. Thanks for the business. I knew you had it in you. Good work. This is the best way to get dukes. You can always quit a job if you feel it's too dangerous or just change your mind.
Alright, I will be back in a couple hours with the little guy. With the little VTuber guy.